guys, it's Alyssa from Holistic Angels, and today I'm going to be talking to you about crystals and how we can cleanse them. Now, there are many different ways in cleansing our crystals, so if I don't cover them in this video, it doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong or anything like that. It's just that these are the top 10 ways that I choose to cleanse my crystals. But if you have any ideas that you think are worth sharing, cool ways of cleansing your crystals, you can just let me know in the comments below and we can share that with each other. Okay, so first of all, what are crystals and why are they used? Well, each variety of crystal is said to have a unique internal structure. Well, it does have a unique internal structure, but these internal structures are said to resonate at a certain frequency. And it's this resonance that gives these crystals different healing abilities. Okay, so some crystal properties are said to help us if we have difficulty sleeping. Other crystals are great if we lack energy and we want to be motivated. Some crystals are great for, if we have difficulty relaxing. And other crystals are really spiritual and they really help us to connect to our spiritual selves, and they're very good for use if we're doing any work with the spiritual realms. And then there are other crystals which really ground us to the earth and help us work on this material plane. So the little picture that you can see is a little log in my garden, and these are 5 of the crystals that I use really regularly. So if you were wondering what crystals I use when I do readings, these are usually my 5 go-to crystals. The majority of these are the crystals that I first started with, and I absolutely love them, and I continue to work with them because they just work so well. So the big crystal that you can see in the middle is my wand, and it's lapis lazuli. Now, if you have an interest in Egyptian philosophy, then this stone might really call out to you because it has a huge affinity to Egypt, and during Egyptian times this stone was actually more valuable than gold. And the images that you see with the Egyptian ladies with the blue eyeliner, this was actually made from lapis lazuli. It was ground down and worn as makeup. Now, I wouldn't suggest you do that now because I don't know how good that is for your eyes, but that's one of the reasons that they use this stone. But also, this stone was said to alleviate stress and get rid of any negative emotions. It's also said to draw in successful relationships. But the reason that I use this is because it's an excellent stone if you're working with the Akashic realm. Now, when I'm doing Akashic records for people, when I'm doing readings with people, I will use this stone. I have it by my side for all the readings, but especially the Akashic record readings, because it really helps me to really zone in on the finer details. And also, it's a great stone to use if you're studying sacred texts and you want to understand them at a different level. I've read different scriptures and some of it's been quite difficult to understand, but then when I've used this stone, I've been able to read them in a new and more enlightened way, and really got the message through of what the scripture was trying to tell me. So I absolutely love that stone, so that's what I use that one for. So the next crystal we'll move on to, we've got on the top left, is amethyst, the purpley coloured one. And this is great for sleeping, if you struggle with insomnia. It's very good for calming. It's said to help reduce our stress and anger and also enhance our psychic abilities. But the reason in which I use this stone is because it is great to have around computers. Just put this stone by your devices, your Wi-Fi, your computers, your television. Often, half the time that we're stressed at home is because these invisible frequencies flying around that can actually alter or affect our own auric fields. And some of the stresses at home are because of the fact everything's plugged in. There's so much energy flying around just one home. So I love to keep this amethyst crystal by any technology, especially when I'm doing readings with people. Often when I do readings, I either record myself into a dictaphone and channel that way, and then I will type up the channeled reading and I will email it, or I will automatic write and email the reading that way. And so it's really important for me in that process to not have to worry about technology, because it can really disrupt the reading, and I just, I don't want that. I want to give the best reading that I possibly can give to people. And so that's why I use and work with amethyst so much. The stone under that, the silvery one, is hematite. This is great, again, for insomnia. It's very grounding, it's protective and shielding, and it's heavily linked to the earth. So if you're working with high frequency vibrations, such as you're doing readings for yourself or others, communicating with the angelic realm, astral travel, it really helps you to anchor yourself to the earth. If you hold this as you're doing a meditation, a lot of people after meditation can feel quite high and really, they're not fully grounded into their bodies again. And whilst this may feel nice, it can sometimes cause problems. We are spiritual beings. A lot of us are excellent at connecting spiritually, but many of us have trouble grounding. We are of the earth. We're living here in this dimension at this time, and so it is important that we really connect to the earth, because that's the experience we're supposed to be having. So it's very grounding, very balancing. Also, it's great for manifestation. If I'm working on trying to manifest something, I'll do another video on manifestation, but this is a stone that I will use in all my manifestation work, because it is so highly linked to the physical plane, which is the plane that we want to manifest with. We want to manifest things in this reality, in this 3D reality. Okay, and the stone underneath that is aquamarine, the bluey coloured one. It translates to water of the sea, and so it's very great to have if you're going on a sea voyage, if you suffer from seasickness. It's also said to be great for swollen glands, sore throat, any problems with your teeth or jaws. So when I was going through my wisdom teeth process, it was quite painful. So I just put this stone on my bedside table of an evening before I went to sleep, and it really helped alleviate some of that pain. Spiritually, it shields our aura as well. So it's a great stone to have if you're working with maybe people with harsh energies. If you're in an office and you don't really resonate with everyone, the ideal situation would be to get out of that job. But in the meantime, this is a great stone to keep around you. And the final stone we have on the top right is selenite, which is my absolute favorite crystal. I'll just put it out there and say that. It is amazing. It helps us shift any negative energy. It increases our concentration. It's amazing to use in meditation, but it can really help us receive wonderful and really clear angelic guidance, especially in our dream time. So, I have a wonderful large selenite crystal that I really use, especially when I'm doing angel readings or angel tarot readings, because it just gives me an instant connection to that angelic realm, and it is so positive and uplifting, and I just absolutely love it. Okay, so other crystals, we can have crystals in, these are just some of the ones that I used and got started with. So if you're new to crystals, you might want to go out and get these ones to start with, but there are so many other crystals that I have and use, but these ones were my first, and so they are still my main go-to ones. The ones that I use on such a regular basis, especially the lapis lazuli wand. I mean, it's just, it really, you can see on it as well, it has the chakra point, so it really works when I'm doing kind of energy healing with people, but I use it mostly for myself when I'm doing readings with people. So you can get crystals like this, from gem stores. I like to pick crystals myself, to actually feel them and touch them, and because you put some back, not because they're bad, but some resonate with you more than others. But you can also get crystals in the form of jewellery, and I have a wonderful moonstone ring which my business partner and co-founder of Holistic Angels bought for me, and my wonderful mother, Jo Cruz, and it's absolutely fantastic. I had wanted a moonstone ring for so long. I was just really drawn to one. And this really helps me, especially in dream time. Moonstone is great if you want to balance your emotions, especially in your own cycle, or if you feel more emotional towards the full moon. This can really help balance that out. A lot of very spiritual people are closely in tune with the moon cycles, so this is great to have. It also gives me prophetic dreams, so dreams I've had have come true, and I've been able to astral travel and actually help people on the other side of the world in my dream time, which you can do if you set your intention to do. You know, you can help people struggling, and you may wake up feeling a little tired, but it's a wonderful thing. It might take a few goes to do, but this is why I love wearing this stone to bed, because it really helps me to get into those astral dreams. And also over daytime as well, when I wear it, I just feel I'm extra psychic. It's really cool. So another crystal I want to mention is rose quartz. I keep rose quartz by my front door, and it's said to promote peace and clarity, self-esteem. It also kind of promotes unconditional love for ourselves and others. So if you have a busy home, you know, if you've got family around your home a lot, if you've got a big family, if you live with roommates, this is an excellent stone to have, because it can really bring about harmonious relationships. So that's why I like to keep it at my front door, so that whoever walks into my home instantly feels relaxed and at ease and very confident within themselves, because that's really important. But also it's great to have in a living room. You know, there's a lot of different energies going on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get into the 10 tips on how to cleanse these wonderful crystals that we've got. So the first tip that I'm going to talk about is burying your crystals. Okay, burying your crystals is a wonderful thing to do. Crystals come from the earth, and so once they're placed in the earth can really draw out any, not so much negativity, because crystals don't really carry negativity, but any tired energies. You know, crystals get tired just as we do. You know, they're living things and they work hard for us. So burying them in the earth is a really good thing to do. I don't always practice this, because sometimes they get a little muddy afterwards. Sometimes you just can't find them again. I mean, I've gone to dig up my crystals and they've disappeared. And this can sometimes happen, you know, well, it can happen for two reasons. You're either looking in the wrong place because you haven't marked it properly, but I did. I X marked the spot, and I went back and it had gone. So sometimes the earth can swallow up crystals, you know, if they need it more than you. And crystals tend to disappear when you no longer need them, or they can help somebody else. I've had crystals that have literally just disappeared, especially jewelry. You know, either the stones come out, or I've had necklaces I put down or rings that I put down and they've disappeared. There's no rhyme or reason for it, so that can happen. But burying your crystals is wonderful, because like I say, they do come from the earth, and so I think it's really special to bury them. Just keep a note of where you've done it. And if you have very large crystals, you know, you may not want to be digging big holes in your garden, but if you can have a really good marker and where to get them back, then burying them really makes them very powerful and very strong. So we're going to move on to tip 2 now, which is another element. But instead of earth, this time we're going to use water. Now, water is an amazing way to cleanse your crystals. You know, what do if we want to get clean? We'll take a shower or we'll take a bath. And crystals work in exactly the same way, especially rainwater, because it's so pure, and your crystals will just be all sparkly and new. But it's important to remember that not all crystals can be placed in water. The selenite, for example, would disintegrate. So it's important before you start cleansing crystals in water that you just simply look up on the internet whether your crystals are water soluble or not. And if they are, you should really go for it, because this is just one of the best ways in which you can cleanse crystals, in my opinion. I just think that the water just washes away any kind of stale energy, plus, you know, they get clean and they just look lovely. But yeah, don't go putting the selenite in there, because you know, it's quite disheartening when it, you know, gets destroyed. So water, yeah, is a great way, especially, like I say, rainwater, because it is so pure and natural, and it's a really nice way for nature to connect back with your crystals. So the third way in which we can cleanse crystals is we can use other crystals. You know, quartz is an amazing crystal to use because it resonates out this wonderful energy that will cleanse any crystal around it. So, but it's important to remember that, your quartz is going to need cleansing at some time too. But if you just haven't got time and you're on the go and you have a lot of crystals with you, if you're taking them on holiday, for example, then keeping quartz with them can just balance out all their energies and make sure that they stay, at a real high energy. And the quartz can just balance everything out. So quartz is fantastic in cleansing other crystals. You can also use citrine as well. Citrine's wonderful. So the fourth tip in which we can cleanse crystals is sound. I like to use Tibetan singing bowls because the sound is so wonderful and it cleanses my room at the same time. When I use a Tibetan singing bowl, my voice tends to echo more in the room. And this is because so much energy's been lifted. Even if it wasn't negative, things can get a little stale and the room just feels as though it's, when you move into a new house and it's like your voice echoes off the walls because it's empty. This is the effect the Tibetan singing bowl can have. If you don't have one to hand, you can always download the music just as you would download a Tibetan singing bowl meditation for yourself. You can do this for your crystals. And I like to use this tip in conjunction with some of the other tips because the crystals, it can really give them a boost. I find that it really, really, really works well. So sound is an excellent way in which we can cleanse our crystals. So the fifth tip is the moonlight. I love cleansing my crystals in the moon. The moon just does something to them. It really soothes them. Especially the full moon. I bring the crystals in the next day and they just seem so soothed and so wonderful and this really strong energy, especially with crystals that I find are more feminine. I love to cleanse the amethyst and especially the selenite because selenite is closely linked to the moon. In fact, it is named after the Greek goddess of the moon. So I absolutely love to cleanse crystals under moonlight and then just bring them in the day after. But then we move on to this works very well with tip 6, which is sunlight. And as you could see on the pictures I used before, I was charging my crystals in the sunlight. Now, the only downside to this is if you're doing this regularly, your crystals may get a little faded. So what I like to do is I charge them once a month under the full moon and then once a month in the sunlight, probably at the start of the month, but whenever it's nicest and brightest. And the sunlight really gives them a boost, especially I find with kind of orange coloured crystals like carnelian, citrine. I find that they really coincide well with the sun, whereas the amethyst and the selenite tend to work better with the moon. The moon's a masculine energy, but some people actually see the moon as masculine and the sun as feminine, but for me it's the other way around. So the sunrise, sunset, middle of the day, I love to cleanse crystals in that time. So now we're going to move on to tip 7, which is plants and flowers. Okay, so we can charge our crystals using plants and flowers, and this is an excellent way of charging them because as your plants are charging your crystals are charging your plants. Just as the plants give us oxygen and we have a wonderful relationship with nature and with plants and trees and flowers, crystals have the same sort of relationship. If you put rose quartz under your flowers or plants that seem a bit, lifeless, it really helps bring them back to life. But equally, the plants are very grounding and very connected closely with the earth. So like tip 1, if you didn't want to bury your crystals but you still want them to have that earth energy to ground them, then using plants and flowers is an excellent way to do this. So that's one tip that I use really regularly. Now we're going to move on to our next tip, which is probably one of my favorite ways. They're all my favorites, but this is really a favorite. It's tip 8. It's using sage and sweetgrass. I love to use sage and sweetgrass. Sage is said to dispel any negativity, and sweetgrass is said to invite positivity. Sweetgrass can be a little difficult to burn because it is in a plait, as it's said to be the hair of Mother Earth. So I tend to get sweetgrass that's already mixed with sage because it does it burns a lot easier. And I really do love this. The smell is wonderful. The crystals really resonate with it. Sage is great for cleansing your house as well, your own auric field, your animals even. But obviously don't put the sage and the sweetgrass too close, because animals have only got small lungs, so you want to do it from a fair distance. But the animals do like it. But yeah, I just give thanks to the sweetgrass and the sage, because I think, well, it's been pulled, it's given its life up for me to use for the highest good, for the highest intentions. I also sage my laptop before I give a reading, but it is wonderful to sage your crystals, because everybody who gets saged just feels lighter. I almost feel like I've had a treatment, a massage or something, because I feel so light after sage. So that is a really great way in cleansing your crystals. And it makes them smell nice too. I mean, especially the sweetgrass has got such the clue is in the name, it's got such a sweet scent, and it's absolutely amazing. So we're going to move on to our next tip 9, which is angels. Of course, angels. I'm always saying how we should be inviting our angels into our life because of our wonderful choice of free will. So we can just simply ask our angels to cleanse our crystals. I do this. I sometimes write on a piece of paper. I think I have an image where I've written something like, "Dear angels, please cleanse these crystals. Thank you." And I like to write in purple when I'm working with angels, because for me it represents the violet flame, and it's a very, very high vibrational colour. So again, with manifestation, writing in purple is just a quick extra little bonus tip there. But yeah, I really love working with angels, because I know that the crystals are going to be just cleansed to the highest good. And just as we love working with angels, your crystals are going to love working with angels. It's such a high, wonderful frequency of unconditional love. So who wouldn't want to work with that? So this is our kind of bonus tip. Tip 10. It's a funny little tip, and it's to work with animals. The animal kingdom and the crystal kingdom and nature kingdom, it's just so linked. Anytime I put a crystal down, my cats will just come over. They're so curious. They want to know what's going on. I've included a couple of pictures of my cats, Alfie and Sparkle. Alfie's just kind of a baby, really. He's 4, and Sparkle is 20 years old this year. But whenever I hold a crystal, they come over. They're so inquisitive. They want to know what it is. But I feel like the animals really get something from this. But equally, I've noticed that when I pick the crystal up after the animals have been near it, the crystals just feel wonderful. They feel so light, and like I've done a huge cleansing ritual or something. So the animal kingdom and crystals really work well together, I found. And it's just a fun little way as well. It's dogs as well. My dog Indy loves them. That's if he doesn't try to eat them. So I just have to keep my eye on that golden retriever sometimes. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you've got any comments, you can leave them down below. If you want to, if you've got anything you want to learn about in future, let me know and I can do a video on it. Like I say, I'll be doing the manifestation video. And if you have any tips you want to share about how you cleanse your crystals, you want to share them with everyone, that's absolutely great. You might have some ideas that I haven't thought of, so that would be wonderful. And if you do want to order a reading with me, you can just visit my website, www.loveholisticangels.co.uk, where I can tell you what crystals that you can be working with your angels and with your gatekeepers. And for more information on what is your gatekeeper and meeting your gatekeeper, you can find that on my website. But I do hope that you've enjoyed this video. You can find me on my Facebook page as well, which is Facebook.com/Alyssa Cruz 1111. But in the meantime, I just want you to have a fantastic weekend. And I've included some of the tips for you so you can quickly write them down. And love and light to you all. Have a great, great week.